in the 1970s was a kind of chore. Trying to learn Japanese at that time. But it turned out there was some money from the Japan Foundation that started. Because Japan was rich and they started throwing all this money in. So UT started a Japanese language program in the mid-70s, so I started studying. And then I went over and I wanted to work for this most Japanese company I could find. And what happened is by total luck, I ended up landing at Toyota City. I worked for Mr. Yoshino. He just introduced me. And where I was having, that's me there. Oh, I should sell the photograph. That's me there in the middle of the barbarian in the middle. Like weird, wearing a kimono. I was having a blast in Japan, just learning about what it's all about. And then from there, that's also me working on the assembly line. Because after I joined Toyota, this was the fall of 1983, Mr. Yoshino put me to work on the assembly line. Because how you learn what lean is you learn through doing, right? And so I had a great experience, got to do that. It doesn't look like as much fun as wearing the kimono, and in a way it wasn't. But that began a long journey for myself, kind of personally learning what this is all about. Still learning then how to apply it in different places. But the only reason Mr. Yoshino and the folks at Toyota City hired me was to work on this project that he mentioned. It was called NUMI, New United Motor Manufacturing Inc., a 50-50 joint venture between Toyota and General Motors. They hired me to work on this. They never hired American or non-Japanese to work as a regular employee in Toyota City before. So that itself, it was a big deal. It's like, is this actually okay? Actually hire an American to work here, full-time employee. And so it was me and 70,000 Japanese figuring out how this was going to work. I still remember the very first day when I walked in the cafeteria there in Toyota City. There's a place called Toyota City. It's exactly what you would expect, a place called Toyota City. Everybody works for the company. There's a company store, like songs, a company store. There's a company hospital. All your neighbors either work for Toyota or a supplier. And then, I walk in the cafeteria. And at that time, about 200 heads turned and looked. What is he doing here? He's taking a long turn somewhere. The only reason they did it is because they were facing this big challenge of globalization, internationalization. They knew that they couldn't just operate from the confines of Toyota City anymore. They were successful doing that. They had built the system. And they said, okay, we're going to build cars together with General Motors in California, Fremont, California, southeast corner of San Francisco Bay. And so, and it was a great learning opportunity for me because before I could help them teach General Motors and American UAW and others, they had to teach me first. So perfect. And the way they did is by first go work on the assembly line, and that was cool. So this is a movie parking lot a couple years ago. I happened to have been there when they built their first car, December of '84, and the last one in April of 2010, just a couple years ago. But to go back to the beginning just a minute, just kind of back in time. This is an old newspaper that I actually saved from the local newspaper there, outside San Jose, actually, where it says, the old GM plans reborn the NUMI startup, NUMI Toyota joint venture. And what was interesting was, and there's a photo of the plant as it was then. The first time I went there, they had already torn the General Motors letters off, but you can still see the shadow of it on the building there. It's the worst factory in the world. The worst factory. So when you first hired me, actually, in fall of '83, you didn't know it was the worst factory in the world. You didn't know that our partner GM was giving us the worst factory they had. And it was certified worst. And there were two certifying bodies. And one of those was General Motors itself. It was General Motors. Some of you remember General Motors back in the 70s and 80s, right? I mean, anyone who drove a GM product back at that time? The way it was, they said, you didn't buy it when there was a new model, you wait 6 months or 9 months to let it work out the bugs, and you still, And I love GM, my many friends there, so, they would say the same thing. I mean, so to be General Motors' worst plan in the early 1980s was saying something. You had to almost try to get worse. They did a quarterly quality audit of all their work sites around the world, like over 100. And every single time they did this for years, this factory got the worst quality score of any plant they had. It actually competed with one other factory in Massachusetts to be the very number one, number two. Who's number two in football right now, by the way? The school nearby, I heard. I don't know. No comment on that. But it's certified worst in terms of quality by General Motors. When General Motors was previously just really horrible quality. And it was certified worst by the UAW itself. The UAW said, this workforce is so bad, even we can't talk to them. They would follow the union's own rules. They said these people are just ridiculous. And there they are. There they are. So Mr. Yerton hired me. He was charged with putting together a group to develop a training program to how to teach the folks there how to work with the Toyota production system, Toyota management system. And that's why I mixed it with me in a small group, or about, I don't know, half a dozen, 10 of us at that time, something like that. And one of the things we did is we said we'll take every person who worked at NUMMI who had any supervisory responsibility was going to go spend 2 to 3 weeks in Japan seeing what the system was, so they could feel it, touch it, and feel it, actually experience this. And this is the very first full large group that came over. You can read that, I think it says June 1984, and inside that, in that photo, you can find Mr. Yoshino, who looks almost like he does now. You can find me, and I don't look like I look like that at all, in there as well. But these were people who were going to go through experience now to learn how to work differently. It was a mix of people, as you can see, different ages, different gender, different sizes. Some of them were even left-handed. It's turned out on a Toyota assembly line at that time, to work on the assembly line, everybody, every single person, had graduated from a Japanese technical high school where you had a good grounding in basic skills like math, things like that. They were all between the ages of 18 and to do that work, early 30s. They were all under 178 centimeters tall. If you were taller than that, you weren't allowed to do that work. They were all right-handed. It makes it kind of very easy to develop standardized work. These people weren't like that. Some of these people who were team leaders couldn't read and write. Different situation. Incredible challenge. Worst factory in the world, certified. In 1 year, it didn't just get better, 20% better here, that. It went from the worst to the very best in 1 year with the same people. Certified best. Certified by who? By General Motors. Same certifying bodies. General Motors would tell you that it set a record for the very best quality score any GM plant had ever done at the first quality audit after launch. And we all know how difficult it is after launch, right? We still have problems. Amazing, amazing training. And take a look at this is another little newspaper clipping from that time. You take a look at it, and this is the newsletter of the union itself, Solidarity. And let's see if I can read it. A new kind of work. The UAW members like the changes that GM does. We ventured and want to get feelings to last. That's the union saying that, not the company, not man. That's the union saying it. So in terms of workforce engagement, in terms of quality, also in terms of productivity, things like that. The worst of the best in 1 year with the same workforce. An amazing, amazing story. That's why we still talk about it a long time later. But I think it's something that's definitely worth understanding what happened there. So a lot of people ask, how did you really, there's a lot written about this venture. A lot talked about it. People often ask, how did you really change the culture of those folks? A lot of it relates to things that Esau was talking about earlier, we'll talk about later. A couple places you could look if you do want to learn more about it. I don't know how familiar you may be, but 2 places. One is that there's an MIT Sloan Management Review article from a few years ago called How to Change a Culture, Lessons from NUMMI. I think we may have a couple of copies of that article out on the LEI table outside for later. They'll probably go quickly if you want to pick them up for free. But also, I don't know if you've ever had a chance to listen to NPR. So NPR has this radio show called This American Life. It's really a really very nice show. They're usually about 10-minute long segments. They did a special about NUMMI a few years ago, the full 60 minutes. And it really brings to life a lot of things that happen. You hear stories about how those quality problems I talked about. One of the most important things, if you're going to be lean in an office or anywhere, right, is building in quality. So you mentioned standardized work here. The thing is, we're trying to build quality in right here, right now. Right? That's an absolute foundational principle in practice, is building quality in. This workforce would intentionally sabotage quality. Not just not build quality in, it would intentionally sabotage it. These old stories, that you used to hear back in the day, they were true about, put a Coke bottle inside the door panels, so it's going to rattle, just intentionally. Maybe a little stand in the gas tank, what it is. There was one famous story that comes up on that radio show about a guy. What happened is in final inspection, they found a tie rod that was loose. The bolt was just about to fall off. They held it on. It wasn't going to fall off right away. It was going to fall off probably within a few miles. Then they checked and they found 200 vehicles exactly the same. They found that the worker had intentionally done that. The worker had intentionally. This is, again, I'm going to tell you, this is the same workforce. A year later. So what changes are required to bring around that kind of cultural transformation? Deep transformation. So here's something a little bit conceptual. I'm going to show a lot of things like this today. But it's after I left Toyota in '94, I joined I went to the University of Michigan and taught industrial engineering for a few years. And one of the things I learned was that when you're in either university or consulting or something, you make pyramids like this. So this is one of my first. And it turns out it was real similar to one that a famous academic at MIT had done years before. By the way, every time I thought I had a unique idea, somebody already had it. I mean, you look around and you'll find something. It's an amazing thing. So this is kind of the way I thought about making change before I arrived at and did this work with Toyota and Numi.